Welcome back inside Gillette Stadium, everybody. My name is Mike Petraglia, joined as always by Patriots expert columnist for WEEI.com, Christopher Price. Well, Chris, the short and sweet of it is it couldn't have gone any better for the Patriots in what is called their full dress rehearsal. Preseason game number 3. They beat the Carolina Panthers by a score of 30-7. Your takeaways, I thought the biggest takeaway was the way Chandler Jones and Rob Ninkovich were so disruptive along the defensive line.
They got this team off to a great start. Ninkovich's first sack was the very definition of a coverage sack, but I'm going to go on the other side of the ball. I think the offense, what they were able to do offensively right out of the gate, they had some sputtering early on, but they were able to clean things up. They were able to take care of business. Brady was able to put together a couple of scoring drives. Ryan Mallett stepped in there. They kind of shook things up a little bit. We've seen that before in the preseason. He was able to lead them on a scoring drive. Offensively, they did exactly what they needed to do. Shane Vereen had a big night. Julian Edelman had a big night. No Rob Gronkowski. If you don't see Rob Gronkowski in the regular season, that is really the foundation of the New England offense right there. Brady has such a tremendous level of respect and faith, really, for Edelman, for Vereen. Those are his two go-to guys when Gronkowski's not in there. And then the biggest thing, really, this preseason, you have 3 preseason games, none of the regulars get hurt. So I think those are the biggest takeaways for me coming out of this season.
I was in with Tom Brady, his post-game press conference. He went 17 of 21, 204 yards, a 138.9 quarterback rating, and 2 touchdown passes to Shane Vereen. But the reason I didn't start with the Patriots offense first, Chris, was because of what Tom said, and I think what a lot of people saw in the first 2 drives. Not only did they leave a lot of plays out on the field, they were bailed out a couple of times on a 3rd down pass for, I think it was Danny Amendola. There was a flag call. They got bailed out, a new set of downs there. So the Patriots offense, as great as Brady's numbers were, and they were very good, could be a lot better.
They were, and to your point, to Tom's point, they did leave a lot of points on the field. That's something we saw an awful lot last year with this team in the early going. They struggled to get going. They struggled to kind of get a jump start.
Right.
And I think that is still one of the points of emphasis for this team going forward. That being said, with the offensive guys that they did not have tonight, we talked about no Gronkowski, no Sebastian Vollmer. They didn't have any sort of depth again at tight end. They had Justin Jones, Steve Maneri, and James Devlin playing that hybrid tight end role. I think given all of that, given the circumstances, given the situation, given the fact they were going up against a team that was a playoff team last year, I know that they don't put a lot of stock in carrying that kind of stuff forward. I think it was a very good night for the New England offense.
Let's talk special teams. We talk defense and offense. Stephen Gostkowski, I should say, a 60-yard field goal. He's never kicked one like that before, ever, in a game situation, and he got the chance tonight thanks to Tom Brady connecting with Julian Edelman over the middle. I actually asked Bill Belichick, Chris, after the game, if that was a good play by Edelman to catch the ball over the middle and then race out of bounds. And Belichick said maybe not, because what he thought Edelman was going to do, even with no timeouts, is with about 15 seconds left, catch the ball, race directly upfield, clock the ball, and then go for the field goal, make it a shorter attempt. All in all, though, that is some sort of special teams execution and a great job by Stephen Gostkowski.
Look, he had a botched kickoff last year against Miami down in South Florida. He missed a field goal down there. Other than that, you're looking at a kicker who has gone on a pretty impressive run over the last year plus, really. To put together a 60-yard field goal, even though you kind of said it in jest, he had the wind with him. It was a very good night. He's had a very good preseason. We've seen him have a very good camp. This is a guy who's in really good situation. One more special teams note: they were able to clean up some of the problems they had last week when it came to the punt coverage. They had a couple of botched snaps. Ryan Allen, who, like Gostkowski, Ryan Allen, I think, has had a great spring, a great summer. I think he's poised to have a very good year as well. I think the one special team question that I still have about the Patriots is kick return. We didn't see a lot of it tonight because the Panthers struggled to put anything together, much less get the ball in the end zone. So they only kicked the ball off twice. We saw Finch, we saw White, and we saw Boyce back there. I think that's still a question mark for this team. They need to get nailed down going forward.
All right, asked Stephen Gostkowski about that field goal after the game, and he said it's like a golf shot. I was able to draw it in using the wind. But also the interesting analogy to golf that Gostkowski made was he didn't overkick. And sometimes when you are facing a 50-plus yard field goal attempt, you try to kick it as hard as you can, and you really lose accuracy. And Gostkowski said that was a great lesson to be learned there.
You know what it's like? It's like a hitter. And he has that baseball background, and I think that there's something to there. If you try and swing as hard as you can, more often than not, as a hitter, you're going to miss that ball. It's almost like slowing things down. You want to slow down, and you want to make sure you have your mechanics right. You want to make sure you have your technique right. Talking to a kicker before, and that's really what you want to do in that situation. You don't want to hurry things up. You don't want to feel like you got to swing as hard as possible. I think he's able to connect. I think it was a perfectly executed play.
We would be totally remiss if we did not mention the night one Shane Vereen had. I thought he was spectacular using his speed. We saw the wheel route right behind us for 30 yards. That is a Brady to Vereen staple of this offense. Certainly saw it a couple years ago in the putt fumble game on Thanksgiving night. Vereen had a beautiful wheel route there for a touchdown. And we saw it a couple times last year. But even more so, that second touchdown that he had, Brady to him in the right flat. He contorted his body, stood in bounds, reached out for the pylon, and got it. They eventually gave him the touchdown after further review. But just talk about the night Shane Vereen had and what he means to this offense, with or without Rob Gronkowski.
He is the most dynamic offensive presence this team has. I think he missed 8 games last year, and he was still able to catch more than 40 passes, rush more than 40 times. If he can stay healthy, so much of that is tied to the success of this team.
Right.
If Shane Vereen can stay healthy for a full 16 games, you're looking at a guy who has the potential to put up Darren Sproles kind of numbers. He is an absolute matchup nightmare. You're not going to get a linebacker in the league who's going to be able to run like him, and you're not going to get a defensive back in the league who's going to be able to have the same size as him to be able to pull him down. If they can keep him healthy, you're looking at a phenomenal year. I don't care if they have Edelman out here. I don't care if Amendola is healthy. I don't care if Gronkowski is healthy. He is going to catch a lot of balls in this offense. He's going to put up big numbers again if he can stay healthy.
Julian Edelman had an electric night again. He had back-to-back catches of 12 and 34 yards to set up that touchdown that we were just talking about, that second Vereen touchdown catch of the night. Let's talk about some other things. Some players who did not play tonight. Gerard Mayo suited up, so did Dante Hightower, but their ankles weren't wrapped during pregame warm-ups, and they did not get into the game. Neither did Rob Gronkowski or Sebastian Coleman.
Yeah, I think that I wasn't surprised not to see Gronkowski out there. We talked a little bit about it over the course of the week. I know we did a video earlier in the week saying it feels a little early to put him out there. You don't want to risk it with Bulmer. You want to get those offensive linemen to as many snaps as possible. Kind of, they're really working to mix and match and find a good personnel combination. We saw Marcus Cannon out there. At first glance, we'd have to looking at the film, but at first glance, he appeared to hold up very well. Mayo and Hightower, I think it was more preventative than anything really at this point. I think when you're looking at health for this team, we talked about it before. This team has been healthy over the course of the preseason, over the course of the summer. Really, 2 big injuries come to mind, at least as far as I'm concerned. Chris Jones and Silver Salinga. And that's really the only 2 injuries that we've seen to this point. The Patriots have been very, very fortunate when you put them up against some of the other teams, including the Colts, losing Vic Ballard, Donald Thomas.
Right.
The Patriots have been lucky to this point in the preseason, to this point in the summer, to stay away from it.
Also, Hard Knocks, we obviously saw what happened with Sam Baker, the left tackle of the Atlanta Falcons, protecting Matt Ryan. So those injuries can be devastating in the preseason. They're devastating anytime, but certainly devastating there. First round of cuts on Tuesday, and Josh Boyce did not get into this game until very, very late. Is that a bad sign, a bad omen for him making it into the last preseason game?
I think Brian Timms has made him expendable, quite frankly. When you're talking about what they do on offense, I think Timms being out there, showing us what he's been able to show us over the course of the year. Now, he has a bit of an uncertain future, too, because he has that 4-game ban to start the year. So,
but they can hide him on the roster.
Exactly. They could hide him on the roster, and that could ultimately work in Boyce's favor. The other thing to remember about Boyce, he gets in under the new practice squad rules.
Oh, that's
so
right.
He does have some options with, you hate to give up on a guy so early. Relatively early in his career. This is a guy who was a 4th-round pick last year, had his season ended early because of injury. And so he may be one of those practice squad candidates, and I can't imagine there's a lot of guys out there who'd be interested in picking him up.
Right.
But, it seems tough right now for him. It's just not clicking for him in this offense. He's not getting reps on special teams. His kick returner, I think kick returner would be a good shot for him. I think kick returner might actually be his best chance to make this team. But as it stands right now, he could be one of those practice squad.
All right, it will be a very compressed week for the New England Patriots. They will likely have the weekend off. They'll have practice Monday and Tuesday, walk through Wednesday, head to New York for the final preseason game Thursday night against the New York Football Giants, and then the final roster cut down to 53 will be on August 30th. So a lot to happen here in the next week, 8 days or so. Follow it all on WEEI.com. The final again, from preseason game number 3 here at Gillette Stadium. The Patriots 30 and the Panthers 7. With Christopher Price, I'm Mike Petraglia, inside Gillette Stadium, WVEI.com.